right, this time we're going to talk about input-output tables. And input-output tables are pretty easy, but you do have to make sure you find your rule. And a lot of times input-output tables do not have this, so you can kind of just write it to the side. But when I notice my numbers are getting bigger, I know there's two options. I could either be adding or multiplying, because when I subtract and divide, my numbers get smaller when I'm using whole numbers. Now when you get in 5th grade, it'll change a little bit because you'll be working with decimals. So my numbers are getting bigger, so I know I'm adding or I am multiplying. So let's just start with multiplication. So I could ask myself, okay, how am I going to get from 5 to 15? Well, if I was multiplying, I could count by 5, so I got to 15. 5, 10, 15. Oh, so that would be times 3. So then I go to the next one. Don't just do one and stop, because you will get caught and get the wrong answer. So 9 times 3. Well, if I was doing 9s, that'd be 9, 18, 27. Okay, so we're not multiplying. So then let me try addition. So if I was adding, well, if you don't know how to get from 5 to 15, you can do the opposite. So instead of adding, I could say 15 minus 5. Well, if I did 15 minus 5, that would give me 10. So that means I would be adding 10. So you can do the inverse operation to help you figure out what's going on. So 5 plus 10 is 15. Yes, do not stop there. Remember, you got to check another one. So 9 plus 10 is 19. Yes. 12 plus 10 is 22. Yes. So now I have to figure out this one. So I got to go and go, okay, well, I got to do the same thing because this never changes. It's the same all the way down. Sometimes I see kids doing like plus 10, plus 8, and no, it stays the same. Your rule's going to stay the same. So 56 plus 10, well, that would be 66. So I like to joke and play around because rules have to apply to everybody. So I can't in class go, all the girls can chew gum, but the boys can't. It has to be the same. If the girls can chew gum, then the boys can chew gum. So the rule's the same for everybody. Same way here, guys. The rule is the same for everybody. It doesn't change just for certain people. So let me go to the next one. How has this one changed from this one? Yeah, the numbers are getting smaller this time. So if they're getting smaller, I know I'm not adding or multiplying when I'm using whole numbers. Remember, 5th grade, it'll change because you're using decimals. That's a whole different world of numbers. So this time I'm either subtracting or dividing, okay? And we're not going to talk about division just quite yet because we haven't really gone over it in class. So we're going to know that this is subtracting. So once again, if you don't know 7 minus what gets you 2, then reverse it and go, oh, 2 plus what would get me 7? Well, if you need to, pull out your trusty fingers. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Your answer would be 5. Now this pulls out a good point. If I'm subtracting this way, in 4th grade, you will also work in tables going the opposite way. They love to throw those questions at you that will give you the output number and wants to know what the input number is. So then you've got to know that I can go both ways. If I'm subtracting this way, then if I'm working backward, 19 minus 10, that would give me 9. So I'm going to do the same thing going this way. So 15 minus, oh, I'm done. I'm good. I checked one. No, you've got to check more. Okay, they love to let the first 1 or 2 work and then the third one not work. So 15 minus 5 would give you 10, or I could check myself and say 10 plus 5 is 15. Yeah, that works. 26 minus 5 is 21, or I could say 21 plus 5 is 26. Most definitely. Now let's do the last one. 95 minus 5. Well, if I say 95 minus 5, that would give me 90. Let me check myself. 90 plus 5 is 95. Yeah, for sure, that works. So remember, they go both ways. So tables, if you're multiplying this way, then if you go this way, you would be dividing. So you got to remember that tables can flow both ways, and they love to ask questions where you have to work backwards. And if you don't know that it goes both ways, then you will get mixed up. Okay, my last problem is a word problem. Now you might be like, Huey, there's no input-output table here. That's right, because this is one that I have to make my input-output table, okay? And they like to do these also. They like to give these to you with no input-output table and then You're like, I don't know what to do. So let's make an input-output table. And anytime I make an input-output table, I put that rule column in there because it helps me know what's going on. So I have my in and my out. Now this is not gonna always be in out, which we are gonna see, my R stands for rule, which we're gonna see right here. Miss Huey baked a batch of cookies. In a batch, right here, this gives people trouble too. A batch, if I have a sticker, that means I have 1. So if that confuses you, mark it out and put the number 1. So in a batch, she counted 10 cookies. In 2 batches, she counted 20 cookies. How many cookies would she have in 5 batches? So notice that in and out, I can leave that there, but I can also do this. Well, I know she's making a batch, and we know a batch is 1. And I know in that 1 batch, because it says right here, in a batch, she counted 10 cookies. So I know this could be cookies. So you will not always see in and out. You will see other things, batch cookies. You'll also see numbers like X and Z, M, P and Q. You know, there's just all kinds of stuff you could put for those labels there. Okay, first thing I need to decide is take those 4 operations and decide what 2 can I get rid of. So remember, we can add, multiply, subtract, or divide. Remember whole numbers. This makes them bigger. These make them smaller, whole numbers. Now remember, when we start adding decimals and stuff, when you multiply decimals and divide decimals in 5th grade, it changes the game, okay? So if I'm adding, I would say 1 plus 9 is 10. Now remember, we talked about that you can work this way too and say 10 minus 9 is 1. That looks good to me. So that must be my answer. No. Okay, I gotta look at the next one. It says in 2 batches, she counted 20 cookies. So remember, my rule has to apply to everybody. So if I added 9 here, I'm gonna have to add 9 here too. Is 2 plus 9 20? No, it's 11. Okay, so I know I'm not adding. I see my numbers are getting bigger, so I know I'm not doing these 2. So I've got to narrow it down now. And if I can get rid of these 2 at the beginning because I saw my numbers were getting bigger, then I was 50-50 right there. So I'm going to multiply. So 1 times what is 10? 10, good. 2 times, now this should be the same, is 2 times 10, 20. 10, 20. Yes, it is. Yeah, so that's it. Okay, so now remember, if I'm multiplying this way, well, if I'm going this way, then I would be doing the opposite operation, which is division. So if I had 3 cookies, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna do times 10, and that would get me 30. Or if I was working this way, I could divide. Well, the question's asking how many batches of cookies, how many cookies would she have in 5 batches? So all I have to do is plug in my 5. Now be very careful though. If I plug in my 5 here, I'm gonna get a totally different answer than I need. We're talking about 5 batches. So I need to put my 5 in the batch category. So if I have 5 batches, what's my rule? Times 10, that doesn't change. It applies to everybody all the way down. Even if I went to 100 billion down there, it would still be times 10 to get how many cookies that would be. 5 times 10 is 50. So then how many cookies would she have in 5 batches? Well, she would have 50 cookies. So that's the quick and short lesson on input-output tables. Remember, if your numbers are getting bigger and you're working with whole numbers, now don't go to 5th grade and say, Ms. Huey said the numbers always get bigger. Not when you work with decimals necessarily. If you're working with whole numbers and they're getting bigger, we're either adding or multiplying. If their numbers are getting smaller, we're dividing or subtracting. So right off the bat, get rid of 2 of those operations to make it easier for you. Another tip, do not just check 1 and stop. You've got to check multiple rows to make sure that the rule works, okay? And remember, the rule applies to everybody.